Welcome back, Algebra 1 students, to the last and final video of this study guide. Wow, we made it to the last video. All right, we're going to be working on problem number 7. It says solve this system by either substitution. Whoops, I just noticed the title. It says substitution. That's funny. But it means substitution or elimination. So I'm going to do both just to show you uh, both ways. Depending on which one you feel most comfortable with is the one that you should choose. I highly suggest you copy both methods, and then on the final you choose whichever one you feel most comfortable with. Okay. So we're gonna work on the substitution one first. So first of all, I'm gonna look at my system. I'm gonna rewrite it just because I always like rewriting it. So I got negative 8x is equal to negative 29 minus 7y. All right, my next one is negative x plus y is equal to negative 4. So using substitution, I have to make one of the variables be by itself and plug it into the other. So if I'm looking at both of my equations, this second one looks easier to be the one that I use as substitution. Why? Because y is by itself. Since y is by itself and y is already positive, all I have to do is move that negative x to the other side, and I will be able to replace the y in the top equation. Let me just show you what I mean. So I have negative x plus y is equal to negative 4. Whoops, this looks ugly. I can't deal with this. Negative 4. I'm going to do plus x on both sides, plus x. The x cancels out. I get y is equal to negative 4 plus x. All right, we already have our y value. So we're just going to go ahead and take this y value and we're going to plug it into this y right there. So I'm going to go ahead and write negative 8x is equal to negative 29 minus 7. But instead of writing y, I'm going to write in my expression, which was negative 4 plus x. All right. Next up, I'm going to go ahead and distribute this negative 7 to my negative 4. Whoops, what did I do? Oh, I moved it. Okay, I can fix this. Where was I? I was right here. I'm going to distribute the negative 7 also to the x. So I'm going to end up with, let me move my paper a little bit more up so that way I have more space. Negative 8x is equal to negative 29. Negative 7 times negative 4, that gives me positive 28. Negative 7 times positive x, that gives me negative 7x. All right, now I'm just going to combine like terms. So that means I'm going to go ahead and do plus 7x on both sides, plus 7x. The 7x's will cancel out. And I get negative 8x plus 7x, that gives me negative x, is equal to, what is negative 29 plus 28? That is negative 1. All right. So what I'm going to do afterwards, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that negative because we're still not done. I'm going to divide by negative 1. Divide by negative 1. Divide by negative 1. The negatives get canceled out and I get x is equal to negative 1 divided by negative 1 is equal to 1. Why? Because the negatives got canceled out, sorry. We got x is equal to 1. Now that we got x is equal to 1, are we done? No, we are not. We're still going to plug in our x into one of our two original equations. The equation that I'm going to plug it into is this one. This is the easiest one to plug it into. So I'm going to go ahead and take x and I'm just going to plug it in there. I get negative, instead of an x, I'm going to put a 1. And it was negative x plus y is equal to negative 4. Next up, I'll just add 1 to both sides. Plus 1 plus 1. The 1's cancel out. I get that y is equal to negative 3. I have my y value. I have my x value. The solution to my system was 1 comma negative 3. That was my answer. All right, we are done with the method of substitution. We're gonna go ahead and continue in one video and do elimination as well. So with elimination, we have to do a couple of things first. We start off obviously with negative 8x is equal to negative 29 minus 7y. And then I have negative x plus y is equal to negative 4. Now, in order for me to get rid of the variables, or one of the variables, sorry, I have to have x and y be on the same side. If you look at equation 1, the y is over here by itself, and the x is over here by itself as well. So I got to put them together on the same side. So the easiest thing for me to do is move that 7y to the other side. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to just do a little squiggle so I can show you that I'm separating the work. So I have to have, whoops, what's going on? Okay. I have negative, let me see if I can get rid of this right here. Perfect. I have negative 8x is equal to negative 29 minus 7y. To move the 7y to the other side, I'm just going to do plus 7y plus 7y. The 7y's get canceled out, and I end up with negative 8x plus 7y is equal to negative 29. All right, next up, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead, just rewrite this second equation on here on the bottom. That way, I can just continue my problem. So I'm going to do negative x plus y is equal to negative 4. Now everything is aligned. The x's are in line with the x's, the y's are in line with the y's, and now the negative 29 and the negative 4 are aligned. So now, can I get rid of any of my variables? No, I cannot. Why? Because if I add them, I have negative 8x plus negative x, that would give me negative 9x. I didn't get rid of the x. And then if I add 7y plus y, that gives me 8y. I didn't get rid of the y's. Now if I do subtraction, I have negative 8x minus negative x, which will give me negative 7x. And then if I have if I have positive 7y minus y, that'll give me 6y. I still don't get rid of any of the variables. So I have to force one of my two equations, to look like the other, one of the two variables in the other equation. So the next step that I can do, I'm gonna multiply this second equation. I'm gonna multiply this equation by negative 7. I want to get rid of the y's. So I'm gonna multiply times negative 7 on everything. So I'm gonna multiply times the negative x. I'm gonna multiply times the y, and I'm gonna multiply times the negative 4. So I'm just gonna rewrite it over here on the bottom. I have negative 7x times negative x. That gives me positive 7x. Negative 7 times positive y. That gives me minus y, because it's a negative y. Well, negative 7y, sorry. Negative 7y. And then negative 7 times negative 4. That gives me positive 28. All right, I rewrote my whole equation. Now, I'm just going to go ahead, line them up. I'm going to continue my work up here. Because I have more space. I'm going to write it like this. Now, I have negative 8x plus 7y is equal to negative 29. And then I have 7x minus 7y is equal to 28. All right. So now I have a positive 7y and a negative 7y. Am I going to add or subtract? Let's see. I know I'm going to have to add, because if I add, I get rid of the 7y's. But what if I subtract it? Let's see if I subtract it. If I subtract, I get negative 8x minus 7x. That gives me 15x. Well, negative 15x. And then I have 7y minus negative 7y. That two negatives turn into a positive, so I would have 14y. So if I subtract, that wouldn't make sense. So I'm going to go ahead and take my whole equation, and I'm going to add it. So if I add it, I get negative 8x plus 7x. That gives me negative x. 7y plus negative 7y. That gives me 0y. I'll just do plus 0y. And then negative 29 plus 28. That gives me negative 1. I end up with negative x is equal to negative 1. I just got rid of the 0y because that's useless. We don't need it. Now, I divide by negative 1, divided by negative 1. I get that x is equal to 1. Next up, I'm just going to take this x value and plug it into my second equation. So I'm going to cover this so that way I know I'm doing other work on the bottom. I get negative x plus y is equal to negative 4. This 4 looks ugly. There we go. A little bit better. So I'm just going to go ahead and plug x is equal to 1. So since x is equal to 1, I'm just going to do negative 1 plus y is equal to negative 4. I'm going to add 1 to both sides, plus 1, plus 1. The 1's get canceled out, and I get that y is equal to negative 3. So my solution using elimination is 1 comma negative 3. Perfect. And I am done with problem number 7. There you have it, guys. This was number 7. Solve with elimination and substitution at the same time. Pick whichever one is your favorite. Use that one for the final and then stick with it, okay? I will see you in the next one. Peace.